Maya never imagined her life would take the turn it did. If anyone had told her 5 years ago that she would end up afraid of the same man she once believed was her soulmate, she would have laughed. Back then, she had dreams, big dreams. She had a job she enjoyed, friends who adored her, and a family that believed she was meant for greatness. Everything in her life felt bright, open, full of possibilities. Then she met Daniel. He didn't come into her life like trouble. Toxic men rarely do. He arrived gently, soft voice, calm smile, thoughtful gestures. He listened to her with genuine interest. He remembered details about her childhood. He sent flowers to her workplace just because. He held her hand like she was precious. Everyone loved him. Her family adored him. Her friends admired him. Maya herself fell in love quicker than she planned. She didn't know it then, but men like Daniel always start with comfort, not cruelty. The first red flag was so small she didn't even see it for what it was. 3 months into dating, Daniel became possessive in a subtle way. If Maya went out with friends, he'd say, "Call me when you get there, okay?" If she wore something slightly revealing, he'd comment gently, "Just be careful." If a male colleague texted her, he would sigh and shake his head, saying, "I don't like how these men hover around you. Nothing loud, nothing direct, just small, soft restrictions disguised as concern." When they married, everything shifted. Daniel's voice remained soft, but his control became firmer. He began suggesting the outfits she should wear, advising her not to stay late at work, helping her go through her phone because he claimed he wanted their marriage to be transparent. He phrased everything in a way that made her feel like refusing him meant she didn't love him enough. She started changing in small ways, ways she didn't notice. She stopped wearing her colorful dresses. She stopped going out with her friends. She stopped pushing back in conversations because peace felt easier than arguments. Behind closed doors, Daniel's tone turned colder. He didn't scream, he didn't hit, but he stared at her with a kind of sharpness that made her soul tremble. One night, Maya dropped a plate in the kitchen by mistake. Daniel didn't raise his voice. He simply looked at her with disappointment, whispering, "Can't you be careful for once?" Then he walked away. That quiet judgment cut deeper than any shout. Slowly, Maya became a shadow of herself. She no longer recognized the confident, joyful woman she used to be. Daniel convinced her to quit certain projects at work because he felt they took too much of her time. When she mentioned wanting to take a course to improve her skills, he laughed and said, "Why? I can provide everything. My wife doesn't need stress." When she wanted to visit her cousin for a short weekend, he insisted she stayed home, saying, "Your place is here. You have responsibilities." Every choice she made, he found a way to control it. Every dream she shared, he found a way to dismiss it. Every friend she had, he found a reason to pull her away from them. He didn't shout, but his words were chains. Chains that tightened gradually until she didn't realize she was trapped. By the 4th year of their marriage, Maya had lost her voice literally and emotionally. She barely spoke. She barely smiled. She lived cautiously, always watching Daniel's mood, always afraid of doing something that would make him displeased. She didn't see herself breaking, but she was. Then came the night that destroyed what little strength she had left. Maya was on her period. She was exhausted, cramping, fragile. She wanted nothing but to curl up in bed and sleep. But Daniel entered the room, started touching her, and her whole body tensed. She whispered, "Daniel, please, not tonight. I'm not okay. I'm on my period. Please." But he didn't stop. Her words didn't matter to him. Her pain didn't matter. Her body didn't matter. He held her wrist firmly and said only one sentence. "You're my wife, Maya." As if that was permission. As if that erased her no. As if that gave him ownership over her body. She begged him softly, but he continued anyway. And when he finished, he tossed her pad and underwear aside, turned over, and slept. Maya cried silently through the night. She wasn't sure which hurt more, the physical pain or the realization that she meant nothing to him except possession. In the morning, Daniel acted normal, like nothing had happened. He kissed her forehead. He even asked what she wanted for breakfast. That cold pretending was the part that broke something deep inside her. After that, Maya completely withdrew. She avoided mirrors because she couldn't bear to look at her own reflection. She stopped eating properly. She moved like a ghost around the house. Her eyes stayed glassy, distant. Any sudden noise made her flinch. One afternoon, Maya fainted in the kitchen from stress and emotional exhaustion. Their neighbor, Lillian, who was a nurse, rushed to help her and insisted she went to the hospital. At the hospital, the doctor took one look at her and asked softly, "Maya, are you safe at home?" Her lips trembled. She wanted to say no, but fear shut her throat. The doctor didn't push. He simply wrote a number on a paper and said, "If you ever need help, call." That slip of paper became the first tiny spark of hope. 3 days later, Maya received a message from an unknown number. "You don't know me, but I know what he did to you. I've been there too." Her heart almost stopped. Another message followed. "Daniel did the same thing to me when I was married to him. If you want to talk, I'm here." Maya froze. Daniel had a first wife? He told Maya she was his first and only. The woman introduced herself as Angela, his ex-wife. She said she escaped years ago and had been watching from a distance, hoping Daniel wouldn't hurt someone else the way he hurt her. But now he had, and she wanted to help Maya. Angela asked if they could meet somewhere safe. Part of Maya was terrified, but another part, the part Daniel tried to kill, whispered, "This might be your only chance." For the first time in years, Maya felt something forming inside her. Not strength yet, but the beginning of it? And she didn't know it yet, but everything was about to change. Maya sat on the edge of her bed for almost an hour, staring at Angela's message. Her mind raced through questions she didn't have the courage to ask out loud. How many women had Daniel hurt? How many lies had he told? Why did he hide an entire marriage from her? But the biggest question, the one that made her stomach twist, was simple. Why did she still feel afraid to reply? Her fingers trembled as she typed and erased, typed and erased. She didn't want to make Daniel angry. She didn't want him to find out she was talking to someone he clearly didn't want her to know existed. She didn't want to believe she was trapped, even though deep down she already knew. Her hand hovered over the screen, and in a sudden burst of courage that lasted barely 2 seconds, she typed one word, "How?" Angela replied almost instantly, as if she had been waiting, watching the phone, hoping for a sign. "You're not the only one he isolated. You're not the only one he controlled. I escaped, and you can too. I just need to know if you're safe enough to talk." Safe. Such a small word, but one Maya hadn't felt in years. Daniel was at work. He wasn't expected home for hours. She looked toward the living room, half expecting his shadow to appear even though she knew he wasn't there. Her breath shook as she replied, "I'm alone. I can talk." Angela sent a location, an old cafe on the edge of town. A quiet place. A place Daniel never went to. Maya stared at the address, weighing her fear against her need for answers. Her body felt weak, but something deeper in her pushed her forward. She slipped on a simple dress, tied her hair back, and checked the mirror. Her eyes looked tired, older, almost lifeless. For a moment, she wondered if Angela would even recognize her. The walk to the cafe felt like walking through water, slow, heavy, dreamlike. She kept looking over her shoulder, terrified Daniel would suddenly appear. Every car that passed made her flinch. Every unfamiliar face made her heart jump. When she finally reached the cafe, her palms were sweaty. She stepped inside. The air smelled like old books and warm bread. In a corner booth sat a woman in her mid-30s, with tired eyes but a steady posture. She looked up when Maya entered. Their eyes met, and Maya knew instantly this was Angela. Angela stood slowly, giving Maya a small, reassuring smile. Not pity, not judgment, just understanding. The kind only someone who had lived the same pain could give. Maya sat across from her. The silence between them was heavy, but not uncomfortable. It was the silence of two women carrying the same wound. "You don't look like the woman he described," Angela said softly. "What did he say about me?" Maya whispered. Angela sighed. "He told me you were fragile, that you depended on him, that you couldn't survive without him. He wanted me to think you were helpless." Maya lowered her eyes. "Maybe I am." Angela shook her head. "If you were helpless, you wouldn't be sitting here." Maya felt tears sting her eyes. She wanted to believe Angela, but Daniel's voice kept echoing in her head, mocking her, belittling her, draining her. Angela reached into her bag and pulled out a small envelope. She slid it across the table. Maya hesitated before opening it. Inside were photos. Photos that froze her heartbeat. It was Daniel. With another woman. Laughing. Holding hands. Entering a hotel. Leaving hours later. The dates were recent. Very recent. Maya's throat closed up. She tried to speak, but no words came out. Her chest tightened until she could barely breathe. "He cheated on me, too," Angela said quietly. "Multiple times. But he always blamed me. Said I wasn't enough. Said I made him do it." She paused. "Does that sound familiar?" Maya swallowed hard. It did. Painfully so. Daniel had never admitted to cheating, but he accused her often enough of not being exciting, not being supportive, or not being the woman he thought she would be. He made her feel like a burden, like everything he did wrong was somehow her fault. Angela took a slow sip of her coffee. "Maya, I didn't reach out to drag you into my past. I reached out because I know how dangerous he becomes when a woman stops giving him power." Maya's hands shook. "Dangerous how?" Angela looked her in the eye. "When I tried to leave, he threatened me. When I packed my things, he pushed me. When I cried, he mocked me. And when I begged him to stop, he didn't." Maya felt a cold wave wash over her. "That night with him," Maya whispered. "He didn't listen. I told him no. I begged him. And he didn't care." Angela didn't blink. "I know. He did the same to me." She leaned forward. "Maya, that night wasn't your fault. He violated you because he thinks he owns what he marries. It's not love. It's control." For the first time since that night, Maya's tears finally fell. Not silent ones, deep, aching sobs that shook her entire body. People in the cafe looked their way, but Angela gently shifted her chair to block their view, shielding Maya like a sister. When Maya calmed, Angela lowered her voice. "I've been gathering evidence on Daniel for years. Everything. His lies, his patterns, his behavior. I knew sooner or later he'd hurt someone else. I hoped I was wrong. But when I saw how you faded from public life, I recognized the signs." Maya wiped her face. "Why didn't you come sooner?" Angela's eyes softened with pain. "Because leaving a man like Daniel is dangerous. He watches everything. Follows patterns, tracks, habits." She exhaled. "But now? Maya, now he's slipping. The cheating, the lies, the arrogance, he's getting careless." Maya looked down at the photos again. Her heart felt like glass cracking slowly under weight. "What do you want from me?" she asked quietly. Angela reached across the table and gently held her hand. "I want to help you get out, safely, and I want you to help me bring him down so he never hurts another woman again." Maya froze. Life without Daniel felt like imagining a world without gravity. She didn't even know who she was anymore. She didn't know if she was strong enough. She didn't know if she deserved freedom. But when she closed her eyes, she saw herself crying quietly in bed. She saw Daniel's coldness. She saw the part of herself she lost long ago. And then she saw something else. Something small, but powerful. A future where she was no longer afraid. When her eyes opened, they were steadier. "What do we do first?" she whispered. Angela smiled tiredly. We start by protecting you. Emotionally, financially, physically. I found a lawyer who specializes in emotional and marital abuse cases. He's helped women like us before. She slid another paper toward Maya. This is his contact. And this, she pulled out a second envelope, contains a copy of Daniel's records that he thinks no one has. Maya hesitated before opening it. Bank withdrawals. Secret accounts. Receipts for gifts he never gave her. Hotel bookings under different names. A credit card Maya never knew existed. A medical report involving a woman Maya had never heard of. Her fingers trembled. Who is this woman? Angela looked down. One of his other victims. She never pressed charges because she was terrified. He promised to destroy her life if she spoke up. Maya shut the envelope, feeling her stomach twist. How many of us are there? She whispered. Angela's voice cracked. More than I could find, but not more than we can stop. Maya took a deep breath. For the first time in years, she felt something she didn't recognize at first. It wasn't fear. It wasn't confusion. It wasn't pain. It was anger. Hot, rising, awakening anger. She stood up slowly. I want out, and I want him exposed. Angela nodded. We'll do it together. As they walked out of the cafe side by side, Maya didn't look over her shoulder this time. She didn't flinch at cars passing. She didn't shrink her shoulders. For the first time since marrying Daniel, she felt a spark of herself returning. A tiny flame, but enough to start a fire. She didn't know it yet, but Daniel's world was about to unravel. And this time, Maya wouldn't be the one breaking. Maya didn't sleep that night. She lay awake, eyes open in the darkness, listening to Daniel move around the house as if he owned the air she breathed. Every sound made her heart beat faster. Every footstep reminded her that she was still living in the belly of the beast. But this time, fear wasn't the only thing inside her. There was something new. A stubborn, burning anger rising from the very place he tried to destroy. Daniel walked into the bedroom, glanced at her briefly and said, You didn't cook tonight. Why? No concern, no softness, just expectation and authority. For the first time in years, Maya didn't shrink. She didn't apologize. She didn't scramble to explain. She simply said, I wasn't hungry. Daniel turned fully toward her. His eyes narrowed, the way they always did when he felt her slipping out of his grasp. You're getting disrespectful lately, he muttered. Maya looked him in the eye. Maybe I'm just getting tired. He froze. For a second, confusion flickered in his face. He wasn't used to her having opinions anymore, much less a backbone. He stepped closer, threateningly close. Is someone talking to you? He asked quietly. Who's putting ideas in your head? Maya didn't look away. My own mind, she whispered. Daniel watched her for a long moment, trying to decide how to react. Eventually, he scoffed and climbed into bed. You should be grateful I'm patient with you, he muttered. Maya closed her eyes. She wasn't grateful. Not anymore. The next morning, while Daniel showered, Maya slipped out of bed and quietly switched on her phone. She messaged Angela. I'm ready. Angela replied instantly. Good. Pack only what you can hide. Documents first. We'll take care of the rest. Maya's heart pounded. Packing anything openly would alert Daniel. He noticed everything, every movement, every shift in routine. But she had to try. She moved carefully around the room, taking the most important things she owned. Her ID, her certificates, her medical records, the hospital note the doctor gave her, the photos Angela gave her, and the small amount of emergency cash she'd secretly saved over 2 years. She hid everything in an old makeup bag Daniel never touched. Her hands were trembling the whole time. When Daniel stepped out of the bathroom, she was sitting calmly on the bed, hands folded, as if nothing had changed. He kissed her forehead perfunctorily and left for work. The moment he drove away, Maya's legs nearly gave out. She grabbed the makeup bag, her phone, and the courage she had left, and left the house. Angela was waiting outside in her car. The moment Maya got in, Angela pulled her into a hug. "You did it," she whispered. "You're safe now." But Maya didn't feel safe. Not yet. Not while Daniel still breathed the air freely. Angela drove her to a small, safe apartment owned by the lawyer she mentioned. It wasn't luxurious, but it was quiet, clean, and safe words Maya felt strange thinking about. When the lawyer arrived, he didn't push her to talk. He let her sit with water and breathe. "Maya," he said softly, "you don't have to rush, but whenever you're ready, we'll help you build your case." Maya nodded. She wasn't ready to speak yet, but she was ready to listen. Angela sat beside her as the lawyer explained everything Daniel had done legally wrong. Emotional abuse, coercion, marital assault, financial deception, fraud, hidden assets, previous domestic complaints. Daniel thought he was untouchable, but he left a trail. And now they had it. That night, for the first time in years, Maya slept without flinching at footsteps. And when she woke up, Angela was sitting in the living room with coffee. But Maya's peace didn't last long. Her phone buzzed. "Daniel, where are you? Why isn't your phone on? Why did you leave the house? This isn't funny, Maya." Then, angrily, "Come home. Now." Maya's fingers shook. Angela gently took the phone from her and blocked his number. "He's losing control," Angela said softly. "This is when men like him become unpredictable. But you're safe here." Maya closed her eyes. She needed to be strong. For herself. For every woman Daniel hurt. Over the next few days, Maya met with the lawyer repeatedly, slowly telling her story. Saying some parts out loud felt like bleeding, but every word loosened the chains Daniel wrapped around her for years. The lawyer was patient. Angela was protective. And Maya began to feel herself again piece by piece. When the case was finally ready, the lawyer looked at her and said, "You need to know something. Taking him down won't be easy. Men like Daniel rely on their charm. They lie convincingly. But your truth is stronger," Angela added, "and you're not doing it alone." They filed the case quietly. They requested a restraining order. They submitted evidence from Maya, from Angela, and from another woman Angela tracked down, another victim who had been too afraid until now. The case was solid. It was heavy. It was damning. When Daniel finally received the legal papers, he lost his mind. He called, raged, screamed, demanded Maya return, threatened to ruin her, accused her of betrayal. He messaged her family, her former co-workers, anyone he could find. But Maya didn't respond. She didn't run back. She didn't apologize. She didn't tremble. She held her ground. The day of the hearing, Maya walked into the courtroom with Angela and the lawyer by her side. Her steps were slow, but steady. Her hands shook, but not with fear, this time with determination. Daniel entered the courtroom confident, smirking, wearing the same charm he used to trap her. He expected Maya to crumble. He expected sympathy. He expected everyone to believe him. But when the evidence came out, piece by piece, when the photos flashed on screen, when Angela testified, when the medical note was submitted, when the previous victims' testimonies were read, Daniel's mask cracked. He looked at Maya with something he had never expected to feel: fear. Not physical fear. Fear of losing control. Fear of consequences. Fear of being exposed. For the first time, Maya felt taller than him. The judge read out the decision. Daniel was found guilty of multiple counts of abuse, coercion, and marital assault. He was ordered into custody for further investigation into other allegations. He was stripped of the rights he used to control her. As he was led away, Daniel called out her name. Shocked. Desperate. demanding she look at him. Maya didn't. She walked out of the courtroom slowly, inhaling deeply, as though breathing real air for the first time in years. Outside, Angela held her hand tightly. "It's over," she whispered. But Maya shook her head. "No," she said softly. "It's beginning." She wasn't the broken woman Daniel left crying in their bedroom. She wasn't the shadow he molded. She wasn't the fragile voice he silenced. She was free. And as she stepped into the sunlight, she felt something bloom deep inside her chest, something she thought she lost. Her voice, her strength, her life. She walked forward, knowing she would never again let anyone treat her like she didn't matter. Justice was served, and Maya rose from the ruins stronger than she ever knew she could be.